Guys, Bobik will be here in 10 minutes.
All right. Karl, I moved you. You should go back fast and post the questions in the bottom document, not the Discord. Okay.
Oh my god, there's so many fucking Germans.
Yeah.
Someone move Karl up. He's hosting the thing.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Check, check. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, cool. Hello, everyone.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I think we should start now. Hello,
Yeah, sorry, I
Bobik.
didn't talk power.
Yeah. Never mind. Well, we are ready. Whenever you are ready, Bobrik, we can start.
Oh, let's go.
Okay. Gaston will be the main host. Moyer will assist him on the questions. So let's go, Gaston.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Hey, Bobik.
Hey. So should... Yeah.
Sorry, I had to turn off the live feed. It's distracting me. So thanks again for coming in for a now third time answering all of our many questions. We put out a couple days ago on Discord. I think we also put it on Reddit and a couple of the places that we wanted. We're going to have another interview, and you agreed to do it, and we're very excited, and we were inundated with a lot more questions. So that's always good to see. A lot of people are interested in the game.
Cool. Also, well, actually, again, I'm very thankful for you for organizing all that stuff, and well, that you keep that. And I also want to thank our community for being active and for caring. That's what I would like to say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it definitely shows that people are asking a bunch of questions. They're looking to the game to try to understand it better and continue to be part of it as it improves and gets better and better. It has. So I'm just going to jump into the questions. A lot of our questions have to do with the combat, obviously, and the balancing of the combat. And you made a ton of changes in combat, so a lot of it's more questions about people trying to understand the changes and what's going on in combat. So one of them is, I think it was a couple weeks ago now, you put out a field democracy poll where people could vote and give their input on different potential fixes for things like people logging out in claims and PvP on claims. You know, there were things like, I think it was a bell tower that shot fire arrows or fireballs or something. So people want to kind of see what happened with that. Did you come to any decisions about how you're going to deal with what's called the Space Marine, where people log in the middle of a claim and parachute down, in a sense, to fight? and also about PvP on claims.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to say that everything that was in feudal democracy polls and in later polls and in our huge dev blog that we posted in Friday, it's all just plans. It's not developed yet, it's not released yet, so everyone should keep it in mind. So some people might already start looking for those changes in the game. No, they are not live yet. That's the first point. As about Space Marine tactics, and we actually, as far as I remember, after we had a lot of internal discussions on the topic, of course we decided to avoid of Holy Fire and that stuff. We think that we will provide some kind of covert debuff, that the one that makes you stumble randomly. Those who are not residents of that claim, who logged off inside that claim area, in that city claim. I must also stress that we are talking only about city claim. The one that you should use to build your cities, but not the one that will be around the cities, not the relevant claim. So those who are locked out in city claim, they will be moved on the border of city claim and realm claim. So they will be just moved out. So once they will log in, they will appear outside of the city claim and hopefully outside of the wall perimeter. And but since Judgment Hour is up, they can actually get in, and if they got disconnected or if they disconnect on purpose, they will stay in the claim, and once they will reconnect, they will be reconnected in the claim. So we are going to do it only once when Judgment Hour starts.
Okay.
Yes, and about Bell Tower, maybe it will be only maybe decorational or just to provide a huge alignment debuff, alignment penalty, but no Holy Fire, so something like that. Yeah. Truth to be told, it was my idea because I was inspired by many other games that had similar mechanics. And
Yeah.
To be honest, I believe it worked and should work, but since we got heavy realism stamp on our game, we have no other way. Just try to avoid it and try to invent some other mechanics to prevent it. Because, normally the idea behind that Holy Fire was that it will just highlight intruder and just make some kind of small damage that will hardly kill him, maybe in half an hour, but it will make some kind of annoyance and to provide some kind of incentive if defenders are outnumbered during Judgment Hour raid. But again, we're not talking about Holy Fire anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's you're talking about the towers that shoot fire arrows or holy fire, or whatever, and I think that's super common in a lot of the strategy games and a lot of the role playing games and stuff like that.
Zap towers in that
yeah,
hole.
exactly. I mean, it's something everyone's going to see, but I think that you're right. Like whenever we talk about having unmanned towers or NPCs in bases to help defend, people kind of get a little irked by that because they are really hoping that this game is more focused on the fact that it's player-to-player interaction and player-to-player content, stuff like that. So yeah, it's a tightrope for you to walk, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Another big one that's come up lately is the armor changes. So recently you put out a small bonus to certain armor types with certain weapons, right? So I don't remember what the armor types were, the weapons types were, but I think it was the classical one, like lancers and chainmail and so forth. So you get a small bonus to lancing when you're wearing chainmail. Do you feel that that's going to improve the way, that people play with armors and weapons, or do you think that's going to take away? Because I think some people are concerned that requirement, even though it's a small bonus, that requirement to wear the armor in order to get the bonus is going to, over time, cause people to go into that standard system where every lancer is going to wear chainmail, and every whatever is going to wear the appropriate type of armor to go with their weapon.
Yeah, well, understand you completely. Well, first of all, I'd like to say, like 5 years ago, I had that system in mind, and actually, I tried to implement it by skill cap system and skill chains. If you do remember all skill chains, actually every chain of skills had an armor, according armor skill in its chain. And actually, yeah, chainmails were in a chain of mounted skills. Plate mail was in chain of two-handed weapon skills, and well, padded was in chain of militia, pole armor weapons, and so on and so on. But well, it wasn't working, especially if you're talking about your own when everyone were running this 3000 skill cap. Yeah, well, and it wasn't working anyway, even without a skill cap. And the bigger problem we saw right now is that there was one type of armor, currently chainmail, that were used in most of the combat situations. And I believe it should not be so. And also, we want to promote some kind of meta classes, but we want to do it mildly. We won't just not force everyone to play the same way as you like. We don't want to force everyone to wear chainmail with a lance, but most of lancers will prefer it, and that's completely okay. And that's the idea behind the small bonuses that will promote such kind of behavior. We'll have some 5 meta classes that we can balance and gather statistics, especially when we're going to have instant battles. We'll be able to trace logs, amount of participants. We will have actually certain list of troops from both sides. And we will be able to track the statistics of how different armors and how different weapons performed in those battles. And I expect that it will also help us, and maybe will help players to understand better what kind of enemy they're facing, what kind of team they have, what kind of tactics they should use. I mean, in feudal life, there were actually the following type of troops, like heavy, full-plated warriors. We can call them tanks with two-handed swords, militia, and mounted warriors, and so on and so on. And we want to bring, well, my idea is to bring instant battles to the strategic level, like like in Total War series. Like you have a heavy infantry, you have light infantry, you have anti-cavalry infantry, you have heavy cavalry, you have light cavalry. We can call them lancers and skirmishers. We got ranged warriors, bowmen and crossbowmen, and all they have their own advantages and disadvantages. And I believe different type of armors will promote different type of gameplay also by the type, and will make those meta classes available. And one more, I heard a lot of ideas to balance our armor from a perspective of cost. Like for instance, padded armor should be cheaper and plate should be expensive. From historical point of view, it's correct, but no one would wear a padded armor when he can afford a full plate, and that will result that everyone will run in full plate and maybe in chainmail if he want to be more mobile. So idea behind those armors that there will be still class armors and 90 level armors, 90 level padded, 90 level scale, and 90 level full plate. They will be almost equal in the battle. And if we want to talk about cheap armor, we should talk about level 0 armor, like novice armors, yeah, or regular armor. So the price of armor is already different depending on tier of armor. But types of armor should only depend on meta class or fighting style of a person who is going to wear it. So we got weight, we got armor, armor damage mitigation bonuses, and we also have some kind of weapon damage bonuses. Again, it's not in stone. We will try it. I believe No, I'm quite sure there will be some players who will not be like, who will not like it, and there will be a lot of flaming. But in the end, I believe people will like it because it make game a bit more easier to understand, and especially for new ones and for those, and for veterans also, because you can see when you see an army of chainmailed persons, you don't know if they will get on horse or will pull out pikes or will pull out crossbows. But with different armors, you can't expect anything. But again, since bonuses are not that big, they can always you can always try to fake or just make your own build. It's not required. It's not like we have a block like you cannot equip a lance if you do not wear a chainmail. No, we're not doing that way.
Some players are wondering how you plan on combating the so-called drag maneuver. Essentially, that's someone with a poke, they'll aim at, say, the left shoulder, and at the point of release, they'll swing into the player, going through any possible block or shield.
No, well, actually, we had a discussion about it actually today. In that current patch that we released, Euron patch, we already fixed exploit with spikes and lances that allow to. That was actually the same drag technique when you receive a huge speed bonus. So just swinging your spike or lance sideways while performing a thrust attack. So it's actually almost the same drag. And as far as I was assured by my team, that the same technique should fix the drag issue of other spears and weapons. Because when you are making a thrusting attack, we will measure trajectory with a different way. Will actually cast rays from you towards the tip of the spear. So it doesn't really matter how you actually move it. If there is a shield between you and the tip of the spear, shield block should be triggered. But again, it's up to you to test it. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's again some kind of misunderstanding, and drag is still in. Just let me know if it's so. But I believe it should be fixed in that patch.
No, I've heard on pikes and lances it has been fixed, but I heard on spears and partisans stuff like that. I think I heard it wasn't fixed yet, but
No,
from early
in the
testing.
current patch?
In the current patch, yeah.
Okay.
I haven't tested myself, so I can't guarantee that that's correct, but that's what I'm hearing from some of the other players that have been testing it.
Okay, well, then we're going to fix it next patch. Well, definitely, I mean, it's not a good technique and we should really remove it, avoid it. That's the idea. Sooner or later.
Okay.
So along with combating how the drag will affect changing of hitboxes and rays, do you have other specific plans on how to improve the parry system? Because many players find it lacking compared to other games and do wish for some changes.
Well, first of all, about comparison. We definitely lack some kind of interaction and maybe more animations. That's why our pairing system does not feel so satisfactory as in other games. I mean, in Mountain Blade you have 4 directions and you have a twitch-based pairing, and you see in what direction your enemy parries, and you make a counter attack. It's kind of satisfactory, but again, originally and till now, we do not want a really twitch-based pairing system if we're talking about MMO, different flags, and so on and so on. Another comparison, maybe Kingdom Come Deliverance, but I saw that our game being compared with it, but again, you must keep in mind that it's only single player and NPCs can make all ways of tricks and animations in order to show how hard they or how good they parry your weapon. But when we're talking about player versus player, again, no one would like such type of movement limitations. So again, we cannot make a really good parry when swords are actually crossing or not crossing. And again, if we are talking about For Honor, if you saw that game, people just lock onto each other. It's not really a free, no target game. It's like you lock and then you just rock, paper, scissors, rock, paper, scissors. All the same stuff. But again, in our case, we plan to leave the mechanics as it is. Of course, we will remove drug-related problems and whatever bugs we will see, and maybe we'll try to improve some kind of animation and information of both victim and attacker about successful or unsuccessful parry. And as you know, right now our system works in the following way: the better you face vector of attack of your enemy, the more damage you will mitigate. So I believe it's a good technique if it will be implemented properly and without bugs. So it's kind of chivalry style. But again, if you have any ideas aside from Twitch combat or aside from a long motion capture animations blocking both players together in order to make a beautiful parry or attack, we are always open to suggestions.
You can get inundated on the Discord now.
No, what? Oh yeah. Sure, why not?
Okay, so do you have any changes in mind of the current meta weapons? I think a lot of people feel like the boar spear and the partisan are like taking a predominant role on the battlefield these days. If not every player, many players are using those, or maybe they're on horses, lances, and archers, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any plans to like differentiate it more?
No, well, we just checked partisan, and actually, yes, he's too long. It is too long. Well, if measured with other weapons, it's just a problem of no, even it's not because of art. It's because of mount node placement. It's where player places his hand when he's wielding a partisan. Well, he should place it in other position, and so partisan will have a shorter reach. Well, almost equal reach if compared with other weapons. But generally about meta weapons, again, it's not a new. It's in all the games that some kind of build, some kind of item, some kind of character, some kind of build in generally is overpowered or considered an overpowered, and developers always trying to nerf or boost some other builds and so on and so on. Right now we'll again I believe we lack all the proper statistics from instant battles system. When again, as I said, when we have two sides and a list of armors, list of weapons and damage and blah blah blah, so we can actually analyze it. So far we just see, we just get reports and we observe what's wrong and what's right with different weapons, and partisan will be nerfed, that's for sure. Boar spear, maybe we'll check it out. Maybe it also needs some kind of tweaking. But again, I must confess that until we got a instant battle system rolling out on a populated MMO servers, we might have not that good weapons balance here and there, and we will just have to react on reports. Well, that's how it's going to work for some time.
Mm-hmm. No, this is a question that...
Yeah,
sorry.
But I don't know, you tell me. As far as I know, it's still not like only one weapon is used everywhere. It's still like ranged weapons and handed weapons and shields are still used. So maybe partisan is better than other pooled weapons, but it's not like only weapon on the field. So everything is not that bad.
Yeah. I mean, I think that people are just like noticing how many there are compared to how there used to be, and the difference. But yeah, I mean, I think definitely there's a spot in the battlefield when you're real close, and actually we're gonna get to a question in regards to that with one-handed weapons, and definitely you still see people out there with two-handed axes. We have a guy in our guild that, you know, is very committed to the two-handed axe and won't go to the partisan, but he's also very good with it, so it works out well.
No. We completely agree with you.
But that brings up a great point about the next question, which is about face hugging. Recently, you put out a message that you were going to implement some sort of push maneuver to combat face hugging, and I'm both someone who is annoyed by face hugging and a face hugger myself, so I'm affected on both ends of this. But how exactly will the push maneuver work?
Well, it's actually not only against face hugging. It's actually about everything. It's just about clinch. You know, face hugging is something when you get too close and start hitting legs. But you can also get a one-handed sword and get too close to a pole weapon and still deal damage, and that will be completely legit.
Right.
It's called. Yeah. It's no push ability is not only against face hugging. It's actually a way to increase the distance between you and your attacker, your opponent. And the idea is the more heavier weapon you have, maybe we'll measure weight of your armor, maybe weight of your gloves. It's not final, but anyway, weight of weapon, and will dictate how far will you push your enemy. And that will also produce a short stagger blow. But you will also have to hit with that push ability. So the idea is that it will be all on the middle mouse button. So if you're wearing a shield, you will produce a shield bash. If you're wearing a pole weapon or two-handed sword, you will still make a pumps attack. But if you don't have any of those, you will make a push. It will be it should be less effective than shield bash or pumps attack, but still it should increase the distance. That's the idea. So if someone gets in a clinch range and you don't like it, and also our idea is that you can use it only when you are standing on 2 feet. So when you are not strafing front, when you have a full body attack and you're standing on 2 feet, so then you will be able to push effectively. So it's kind of defensive maneuver. Not like you are running into someone and pushing him. No, the idea is that someone just get toward you and you push him back.
So I guess you wouldn't be able to be moving when you're trying to use the push ability.
Well, it will be short, disable something like that. Not well, just a short period of time that we will not be able to move.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember when the shield knockdown was super effective way long ago, running around and just knocking everybody down inside the base and pissing everybody off in the process. That was fun.
Yeah. It was. It had even way long before it had a 100% chance of knockdown.
Yeah.
It was just too overpowered.
We are wondering what has been decided about female characters. Smaller hitbox, potentially a smaller reach with their weapons. And of course that could also play into how their push mechanic would work if their push would be shorter than, say, a male character.
Well, female characters, we decided to remove them completely.
Yes.
Well, you saw that one new survival game, Age. You know that the game, they got a lot of, how it's called, genitals. Well, you know that game popular right now on Steam with full nudity. So we decided, let's do it the same way. No, I'm just joking. No, we will not do it. As about female characters, I stated somewhere that they actually had a bug, which resulted that they actually had almost the same reach as the male models. They had smaller hitboxes, smaller collision capsule, but they had almost the same weapon reach. Well, it was shorter because they had shorter arms, but since all the weapons are also scaled when they're equipped on a female model, but hit nodes were not scaled. So it was looking like wearing a small X, but hit nodes were actually from a normal sized X. So idea is that we will fix that bug, and most probably female models will not be that overpowered as they are, because they will have a significantly shorter reach. And
Nowadays.
yeah, and since you can always push ladies around, face hugging might not be also suitable for them. So I believe in general that should be okay.
Are they still going to have overall smaller models? And like right now, female models can fit between the crenellations and the corner walls. They can get into the big stone house, and they can get around wall units that are otherwise blocked to the male models. Is that something you're looking into, or?
Oh, well, in some cases it's not good, but in other cases it might be a good idea. I mean, it provides some kind of difference. I mean, when they're able to reach somewhere where a male model cannot reach, it's not okay, especially if we are talking about stone houses or something like that. But if we are talking that in some kind of crowded environment, they will be able to move more freely than a male model. I mean, you know, like two players are standing, who male model cannot pass them, but female can.
Right.
I believe we should try to leave it and see how it's going to work out. Since weapon reach, not nerf, weapon reach bug fix will change a lot, and we'll see how it's going to work out. So if you want to have bigger chance to hit, and also you must keep in mind that when female models will have their weapon reach fixed, that will also mean that they will have a shorter arc of their swings. That means they will have a smaller speed bonus in the equal situation. I mean, when a male model will swing and you hit with the tip of your sword, you will produce like 20 of speed damage, but when a female model will swing with the same sword, it might be around 15 speed damage, something like that. So speed bonus. So again, we're going to fix that bug and see how it's going to work out. And when we'll fix stone house models, so none of models will be able to push through.
That'd be very good.
All right. We're also wondering what kind of changes you're planning for the formations. Like if there's going to be a different size for it, different bonuses, or even general usability, considering it's buried at a 4th tier skill.
Oh well, first of all, it will not be a 4th skill. No, that's wrong, completely wrong, and we are going to change it along with all the other changes we discussed. So it will be a separate skill that will be outside of any links of skills. So everyone will be able to level up, but again, it's not required to level up for unit members. It will be only required for unit leader. Basically, we plan to boost current bonuses, most probably, maybe increase size of formation. Also, it's wrong that it's not working properly and not resizing for cavalry. I mean, that's classics wedge formation for heavy cavalry to to punch through enemy infantry lines. It should work that way, like wedge formation for cavalry, and also we plan to add some stability bonuses for pike infantry when they're performing hold your ground order. Well, not for pike infantry, maybe for all infantry. Idea is that if a player with pike that assumed a pike wall stance and his group leader issued a hold your ground order, in that case, such infantry can stop even galloping heavy horse, but only if all those mentioned about factors are completed. So again, we want to boost formations in order that will be more situational and provide more benefits for groups. But mostly, I believe once we have instant battles running out, when there will be a certain amount of players, and actually players themselves will be able to see how different guilds and different builds performed. I believe formations will work there, because I'm quite sure already formation is a good way how a more organized group of players can overcome a less organized group of players with all the equal, with equal weapons, equal skills, and so on.
Okay. Are you able to tell us anything about the planned instance battles? Like what will be decided in those battles? Will they be pre-generated maps? Can you build structures on them like walls and towers? And how large will be the point of interest that we need to capture?
It's not really fully decided yet, but I believe that let's start about instant battles. We've discussed a lot about it before, and as I said, I have a lot of expectation on them. They will be held on actual terrain blocks, on actual parts of global map. I believe they will pick part of maps that are suitable for battles. That are not in ocean, not on islands, not separated by a huge river or something like that. And we'll prepare all those parts of terrain for coming battles. So we'll see a better place for a point of interest. Maybe in some case it will be bigger, in some case it will be smaller. But anyway, idea is that two forces that will be inside that point of interest should be clutched together. There should be no way like two of them standing on different parts of that point and like in a turtle formation and doing nothing. That's not what we want to achieve. We just wanted to make sure that only one side can effectively control that point of interest, and it cannot stand near other side other team. They must eliminate each other. And no, you cannot build structures on them. Only combat preparations. That's the idea behind battles. That it's just field battle. No, it's not like another siege. It's just field battle, and we will actually strip those parts of terrains from everything. Only trees will be set. Only trees will be available, and we'll remove all the terraforming. Well, maybe we'll leave some terraforming, but we will certainly remove all the objects. That's the idea.
It does.
So, sorry to interrupt. So you can expect that those instant battles will try to force players in all ways possible to avoid turtling up on their respawn point and promote all the ways of advancing towards the point of interest and holding it.
Mm-hmm.
So you should not expect like 2 hours of small fort building and then you start shooting each other with arrows and curses. It will definitely like face-to-face combat. But well, again, I expect a lot of cavalry maneuvers and all that stuff. Because cavalry will be the first who will reach those points of interest, but as soon as infantry will reach it, cavalry will not be able to hold there. But cavalry might be a good way to disrupt the movement of enemy infantry and give more time for your infantry to reach the point of interest. So I expect a lot of different tactics in those instant battles.
Now, with the points of interest, is this going to have simply a timer on it, or tickets that need to be taken out, or is it just straight to the death, one side gets destroyed?
I believe it will be some kind of timer of how long you control point of interest, maybe like 5 minutes or something like that, yeah. And once any significant amount of enemy troops enter the point of interest, the timer is reset. So you have to remove all enemies from point of interest and hold it in such state for a certain amount of time, and you have won. Well, it will be completely okay, and we will promote somehow the ability to flee from that battle. That will actually also be it will also be tracked. It will also keep the statistics, and we will make that way that it will be beneficial in some cases for some players to flee from these battles. Well, they might save some skill points, they might save their loot, maybe they will get some other loot from that battle. You know, it's common when mercenaries were just getting away because fuck that, I'm not going to fight it. You know, and so that also the statistics will be tracked, and I believe it should be fun, like amount of killed, amount of knocked out, amount of fled, amount of like stand in battle, but we're unable to do anything. That's it.
Interesting. I mean, once the timer does go down, though, will there be time for the winners to go around and loot, or will those graves just simply be? They will.
Yeah. No, I believe it will be okay. Well, anyway, they should have some spoils of victory.
Okay. Moving along to different melee weapons, there's over 20 of them, but there's only a handful that really do get used. Obviously, we go back to the partisan, the boar spear, the lance. Is there anything that is planned for perhaps some of the one-handed weapons? So many different types of swords, but they almost feel like it's just a different skin of the same thing.
Well, in some cases it's true, but in some cases we might implement some other mechanics later on. I mean, like maybe more efficient with poisons or less efficient with poisons, and maybe some other mechanics. So maybe it will be special attacks, more effective with special attacks or combos. No, but so far, yeah. So some of weapons are like really like a reskin, and some weapons are just underpowered. Like some weapons are overpowered, like partisan and boar spear, but some are just underpowered. Our idea is to make all of them balanced, but have a different playstyle. Well, they already have some kind of different playstyle depending on damaging nodes and damage type and chance to stagger your opponent and chance to bleed. But we'll just make some more ways to differentiate those weapons.
Okay. I mean, to keep going along that line and include the parry back into it, we're wondering more if all weapons really should be allowed to parry, kind of like swords do have handguards, whereas spears, flanged maces don't. I mean, do you foresee any type of bonus to using a sword with a parry and taking next to no damage versus, say, blocking with a flanged mace? The blade will slide down the hand and cut the person.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. That also can be beneficial to implement, but right now I believe we use only weight in parry formula. Yeah, it's I mean, after all, pairing sometimes it's not only pairing of a blade and that it's getting down and cutting your hand. I mean, in some cases it can be pole arms pairing, and you can pair with both hands, and not necessarily it always slides down. But I do agree with that. Maybe swords should be more effective with pairing, but in that way we'll have to boost maces, so they will be more useful. Maybe more bigger chance of knockdown, knockout. Staggering.
Okay. What kind of timer do you plan to implement between the peace and war stance? Like, 30 seconds in between switching?
30 seconds, something like that, 20, 30 seconds. Just to avoid spamming, constantly switching within battle, but still you should be able to to get out of the battle. But again, the timer will be overridden by a flee ability. So, for instance, if you got hit and you entered the war stance, and then you entered the peace stance and decided to enter war stance, you will have to wait. But if you see that everything is bad for you, you just enable flee mechanics and run away in peace stance, but you will turn it on, overriding the cooldown. But again, that's the original plan. We'll see how it's going to work out.
Okay. What do you think about weapons out of Vosticus steel? I mean, the time and effort to invest in those is huge, and the damage increase versus, say, an 80 quality weapon versus a 100 quality weapon is very tiny.
Oh, maybe we'll boost it. We'll see. I mean, with regional, we also plan that maybe in some regional weapons recepts or only Vostascos still will be available and required. In that way, well, the idea about regional resources and regional weapons and armor is that it will be an only way to craft a 90 level of armor. And in that case, we might require Nostasco steel to craft that kind of armor. So the idea is that tier 0 level armor is just for training and for really cheap armor for engagements that you don't give a shit about and you don't mind to lose it. 60 level armor is something that you should use regularly, and it's something you don't want to lose. And 90 level armor is something really special that you will wear only on really key engagements, and that will be really expensive. And that's where Vostasco steel might be useful. And the same goes for weapons. So we plan some region to move some of current weapons into. Well, we do not plan it. We have discussions about it that move some kind of weapons into original type of weapons. That will make them a bit better than normal weapons, but will also make them quite expensive. It's still in discussion.
Okay. I do have a question out of the Discord. I figure throw it in. Are there any plans of more detailed tabards and big banners for war banners that you can perhaps use to, hold and fight with?
Yes, we have such plans. But I must confess, it was planned by me as part of in-game shop sterilization. So you will be able to buy such banners and equip them only if you pay a certain amount of real time or real funds, because it's plainly to show off. It's plainly for cosmetics and for beautiness, and that's why. Sorry, but you'll have to pay for it.
See, I think that's the sort of stuff that people absolutely don't mind there being a cash shop for, that are more cosmetic, and maybe they're like the fancy items or skins for houses or armor or whatever that
well,
people
for
want to pay
houses,
for.
maybe not, but for armor, for such banners, or maybe for some weapons, yeah, that way, yeah. Maybe maybe some kind of different tattoos, like a barcode tattoo on your on the back of your head,
Yeah, I think definitely those cosmetic items are things that people aren't worried about being in cash shops. I think that, obviously people worry about things being in cash shops that would give people an unfair advantage, but stuff like what we just talked about, I wouldn't think anyone would have an issue with.
That's called pay to win, and that's what I will avoid in all ways possible.
I was avoiding saying that word, but yes. A big question that's been going on. I mean, it used to be with shields, they'd block all arrow damage, and now they block all damage. Some of it's passed through as I think it's slashing damage for some of the arrows and stuff like that, and they break pretty quickly from arrow damage. So I think that's kind of a mixed question there, where people are wondering, are shields going to get back to where they can actually absorb arrow damage, so that a shield wall is actually a mechanical system you could actually use in combat? For example, like, if you use a shield wall to get across open ground, which is the whole concept of shield wall, to protect you while you're crossing ground or something like that, but you're getting shot with arrows, your shields are going to disappear in a matter of seconds,
Well, that's definitely should not work that way. I mean, of course, shield wall should work, and it should hold the arrows fire, but it will not be indefinitely. I mean, seconds is bad timing, but maybe if you are standing with your shield for 2 minutes and when like 10 archers are shooting at you, well, the shield should break sooner or later.
Okay.
But yeah, the idea is that we also are going to implement chopping type of damage.
Right.
That will be for access, for pole access, and it will not be available for arrows, of course, and for bolts. And this and chopping type of damage will be more damaging against shields and mobile objects, indeed. And since there will be no chopping arrows, they will be less effective against shields. But access will be more effective against shields. That's the idea.
That makes sense. Right now, when you take damage to the shield, sometimes it's not absorbed completely by the shield, or it gets passed through as something besides blunt damage. Is that a bug, or is that intentional, or is that something you guys just weren't aware of because it hasn't been reported enough yet?
Again, so if you legitimately, if you block successfully some kind of slashing attack, it still pass through.
Yeah, on some of the arrows, I believe that someone comes through slashing damage, if I'm correct.
Oh, on some
Yeah.
arrows. Well, we should investigate it. It should not really depend on type of damage, really. Maybe some arrows are really fast and not triggered, or maybe they hit hand behind the shield, or maybe something with hitbox over shield. I don't know. We just have to investigate.
Okay. So if any damage is coming through, or is coming through other than being as blunt damage, that's something that's a bug. Most likely.
Well, most likely, yeah, that's true. Well, if that arrow actually hit a shield, I mean, it's completely okay if someone shoot your legs while you are holding a shield and damaging you fully. I mean, that's supposed to be so. But if you manage to catch an arrow with your shield, you should. Well, you might be able to receive some small amount of damage, but generally should not be damaged.
Okay.
But again, it should not depend on type of damage. That's for sure.
Okay. Good for people to know. It's something to be investigated. Do you feel that there should be any sort of like benefit to people that dedicate themselves towards lancing, that really go down the entire tree and so forth? Because right now it feels like if you're a lancer, you don't have any superior benefits except for the fact that you have your lance that you can hit people with at range for piercing damage or whatever. But anybody can ride a horse, a war horse. Is there any sort of like special horse? I know you have the armored war horse, but is there any other special horse that lancers would get besides just the armored war horse? Or any other sort of benefit for lancers to go down the entire tree?
Well, that's a tough question. No, I mean, maybe we'll. I mean, maybe we should consider something like horse weight bonus or something from lancing. I mean, lancing is okay that it's used on normal horses, on just light war horses, because it's skirmishing tactics, and that's kind of okay. Because with lances, and especially if there is a good pikeman withstanding that lancer, they should not be able to do much of its damage to infantry. But a heavy horse lancer with sword, and I believe we also discussed that we were going to let how it's called, hand and a half swords to cavalry, and heavily armed horse that will be able to knock down a lot of infantry, and that such lancer with a sword should be more effective when countering an infantry. And yes, maybe it's a good idea to add some kind of weight bonus from a horse towards lancing. I mean, such lancers will not, such heavy and slow lancers will not be effective as a counter of light lancers, but they will be more effective against infantry, and that should be that way. So I mean, since we got no horse archers, we don't have them by purpose. Now, such light lancers and relatively cheap is like it's a light cavalry for skirmishes, and that should be so. I mean, I have seen a lot of feedback. People were crying about MMO that most of battles. I mean, not people, infantry players were upset with the lack of real combat for them in MMO because well, all the skirmishes were in an open field, and that's where cavalry was dominant, and that's completely okay. I mean, it's absolutely okay. It should be so, because once you get into forest, it will be otherwise. Once you get into siege or some kind of fortification, all those lancers will be useless. Once you get into some point of interest holding, again, those lightly armored light cavalry will be also less effective. It should be so. I mean, those light cavalry lancers should be skirmishing troops for just for skirmishing attacks. When you don't have something you should control, and you just have to hunt down other horsemen, other lancers, and other infantry players that are not inside the formation and that are easy to hit with a lance.
A little further down the lancing tree and heavy horse handling, I rarely ever see a heavy horse on the field. But specifically, the skill level 90 says that if it's galloping for longer than 5 seconds, it becomes impervious to everything except a wall of pikes or a defensive fence. But through testing, we've seen that simply slashing it with a partisan will stop the heavy horse dead in its tracks. Is
That's
that
a bug.
working as intended?
No, it's a bug. It's definitely a bug, and we know about it, and we will fix it. That's a bug.
Good to hear.
All right.
Another question a lot of people have is about knights. Some people use some sort of like gamma adjustment technique to be able to see in the dark, while other players that are playing on more vanilla settings can't. Is there any idea of any sort of possible fix for something like that, or any sort of adjustment to the night?
Nights are dark and full of terrors. Yeah,
For most.
well, truth to be told, that in theory, we can make absolutely dark nights. I mean, and we actually can limit your vision radius, and no matter how hard you are going to hack your client side, you will not see players outside of that long vision radius.
Right.
But again, it will be a really complex if it will be really not that easy to implement, and in my opinion, it might not be that necessary. I mean, truth is, the hard truth is that there are a lot of ways how you can hack a client. I mean, CSGO, million of people are playing Counter-Strike Go, but still there are client-side hacks possible, like auto-aim and wall hacking. And of course, wall hacking is not working completely in CSGO, but it allows you to see someone around the corner. So you got an advantage anyway. And it's not really possible to completely combat that unless in theory you can make a huge cluster of PCs that will render a picture for everyone and will just transfer that picture. That's the only way. That's the only way how you can avoid it. Client-side hacking. There will be no client. It will be just something to show the video and to receive your input, nothing else. So with knights, I believe we'll leave them as they are for now, and maybe we'll see some. We will implement some kind of. We will not announce it, of course. We will implement some kind of client-side detection system that will just make screenshots of what's happening, and if we see some kind of radar, if we see some kind of inadequate lighting, if we will see some kind of tweaked textures or something like that. We are talking about MMO, we are talking about paid account with characters that were paid for, so receiving a ban will be a good reason to not to cheat. So we will probably consider it as a cheat, and we will warn everyone not to use such technique.
Interesting. That'd be a nice fix.
No, well, it will not be really nice fix because we'll have to do a lot of manual job or semi-manual job, and it's still I do know that I mean my huge disappointment as a gamer is that some good first-person shooter games went into client-side only, everything client-side logic, and just fighting with cheaters by banning all discussions about cheaters, by banning everyone who reported cheater, everyone who has seen a cheater, everyone who just making a video about cheater, and that way they're making a illusion that like the game has no cheaters. I mean, personally, it's I mean, personally, it's a huge open wound across my bleeding wound across my heart. Is like I'm a huge fan of PlanetSide franchise, and PlanetSide 1 was all client side. I mean, everything was calculated on client side, and different laggers, so cheaters were possible, but they had a subscription and like $50 for a single copy. So if you are caught cheating, you will lose those $50. You will lose your account, and it worked okay. And especially it was like 2000, early 2000s. So I do understand they had no calculation powers to make a huge authoritative server technology, and it was okay for that time. But when they made the PlanetSide 2, they made the same client-side calculations, client-side logic, and also they make it free to play. So if you got banned, you just register a new email and you playing again. And yeah, and that was come on, and that's how they are fighting cheaters. They are trying to detect it and trying to ban them, and they just recreate email. They just change MAC address. They just change IP and playing again.
Yeah, I mean, besides the adjusting your gamma to be able to see in the dark, I haven't heard of many other exploits of that sort that could actually be considered a hack or a cheat of some sort like that. So that's actually a good thing for the game.
Oh yeah, sure. I know about different traders. I would consider them also to be a bit like it's all cheating, especially when the trader reveals players. But on other side, we still have a limited the distance of view, so the trader will not work too far, because our server will simply not give information of other players from that range, so radar will not help you. And that's when they're close to you, you will hear them anyway. But that's also considered cheat. So again, my idea is to make a ninja patch that will make some kind of screenshot, anonymous screenshot, and we'll just observe those screenshots.
Even you saying that is probably enough to scare a couple people straight.
No, that's also part of tactics.
Yeah, that's good.
And sorry, and I saw a question about horse-drawn cards.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
Will they be ready tomorrow?
Soon, you know
soon.
The answer. Yeah. But well, truth is that we get a lot of breakthrough on that side, and maybe next dev block, not tomorrow dev block, next Friday dev block, day after Friday dev block, whatever it's called. Next dev block, maybe we will show some kind of ugly looking but still moving horse cards. I do hope so.
It'd be nice. Yeah, I saw some animations you guys put out a while ago, and they looked very nice.
Well, yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really important, especially now on MMO scale, because and especially when trees are so scarce and they might be far. So I'm quite sure training cards will work and will provide a lot of help to our players on MMO scale. I mean, for Life Settle Your Own, it might not be that crucial, but for MMO, it's, well, we have to do it.
Yes, that would be very helpful. It's a huge map.
Well, that's true, and that's. I hope that all the trading will be done by those trading cards.
Now, I know we've had you for just over an hour. Do you still have some time for more questions, or?
Well, yeah, 10 minutes,
Okay.
something like that.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel about the role of battle survival in the game? Right now, it's one of those end tier capabilities, kind of out of any specific tree, but definitely takes a pretty large skill point commitment to get to it. Do you feel that there needs to be any changes to that? Because I know some people feel there should be, or do you feel it's rightly placed? It should be a very difficult skill to raise and get up there with 400 skill points.
Well, talking about battle skill, battle survival skill, I believe its position is correct, but it have to be boosted by itself. I mean, well, it should provide a lot of more bonuses, more benefits than it provides now. So its position is correct, but its bonuses are minor or secondary as they were in the previous skill tree. I mean, it was a secondary skill before we changed also skill tree. And
Right.
now it provides kind of like secondary bonuses, but it should not be so. So we'll definitely boost it.
So you're going to add more to it to make it more worth
That's
really
right,
going for
that's
it.
right.
Okay, nice. That'd be a good change. Now another thing is about horses. Right now, if you get hit by a horse and run into an object, you end up, taking a massive amount of blunt damage and dying. Do you have any reworks for that? Because I know it's definitely connected to the fall damage we had in the past, and then when fall damage was taken off, it went away, and now it's back again. Do you have any idea of reworking that so that they don't take as much damage, or do you feel it's about the right amount of damage?
Well, first of all, horse direct hit by a horse will produce a blunt damage. That's where padded armors will work more effectively, and again that by design, because padded armors for infantry, for anti-cavalry infantry. Second of all, we actually like that that you can be that horse can knock someone into the wall and he will receive wall hit damage. I mean, it's considered like a falling damage, but the thing is that we'll definitely make some kind of mitigation of the damage depending on the vector. I mean, if you are falling at 10 meters straight away down, you will receive you will receive like, let's say 50 damage. But if you've been hit by a horse and just flew 10 meters and hit a wall, you will receive something like 10 or 5 damage, something like that. So you will still be damaged, but not that hard as you receive now. So we'll just measure the vector, and if it's horizontal, you'll receive less damage.
Okay.
Along minor skills, mentoring, teaching all the crafting skills is a minor. However, drill is still in the combat. Is there a plan for a rework of that?
No, we will remove drill. Our mentoring will, as far as I remember, that was our final decision after discussions. Mentoring will be the skill that will be used to teach everyone everything.
Very nice. Will you be planning on allowing people to use throwing weapons, slings and such with shields, lances with shields?
No, it's a tough question. It's not decided yet, really. I mean, I personally afraid that it might result in some kind of powered builds in some cases. I mean, approaching some other shooter with your shield up and then hitting him in the head with a spear or with a javelin. I mean, with a javelin or a throwing knife might be a bit overpowered. But again, we'll consider it. Right now, to be honest, it's not like our priority. And enabling something takes time to do when we have a lot of things to do right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I personally would love to be able to use javelins and shields together as a unit, but I could definitely see where that could cause some balance issues. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just make you really tanky with the ability to inflict ranged damage. It's just maybe. Oh, we'll see. We'll see. Originally, we planned front weapons like something that an infantry is wearing on their as their secondary weapon if they want to reach someone who's fleeing or someone who's approaching. I mean, like how it's called? I forgot that word. If any of you played Total War series, Total War Rome, they had a heavy infantry that had javelins that they can throw, but it was not called javelins. I forgot. Well, doesn't matter. So it was actually heavy infantry with short swords and tower shields, but they had one or two of such javelins. They just used to throw them before the charge or if chasing someone, and then they switched to sword and shield, and that's how they were acting.
All right. Is there any plan on making it so that weapons durability and armor durability affects the damage and the damage mitigation? Like something that's at half durability is going to damage less or negate less?
So indeed, first of all, I believe we already announced that weapon durability will affect the amount of damage it will inflict, and armor durability. Well, we will consider it. Maybe we will increase the impact of armor durability on damage. We will see. So the idea is that yes, weapon maintain as a combat skill should be viable. That's the idea.
Okay.
This is one I like. Is there any more, any plans to implement any sort of future weapons, like flail-style weapon, or some of the other suggestions are throwing rocks, ballistas, rams, augers, catapults, etc.
Well, throwing rocks or maybe even potatoes or tomatoes. Why not? We have snowballs already, so it's not a problem. As about flail-style weapon, almost certainly not. I mean, come on, implementing a proper flail system takes a lot of physics efforts, and if we are talking about our system, that means we will have to calculate all those physics on the server side. And I mean, it's a really not easy task to calculate a chain mechanics. I mean, when you got a set of links that are interconnected, but they can also collide with each other, collide with the object. They should turn around that object. Well, you understand how normal chain behaves, and it's really complex task for any physics system. It's not that many games you can see such kind of implementation. And in our case, if you have a authoritative server, we'll have to calculate it on its side. And just for just for another blunt type of weapon, considering that we got a lot of different weapons that are not really used right now, it will be a bit over the top, too much.
And I know before in the last interview you said that you were working on things like ladders, siege ladders, and stuff like that. Have you had any results that might be getting something like that soon?
Oh no, I will change the tradition. Not that soon, sorry. I mean, well, it's absolutely in a list of things we should do before the release. That's for sure, or at least shortly after release, because it's important mechanics. It will be maybe only viable way to get over the walls if we're talking about Judgment Hour or Siege. But for that we need to implement the climbing mechanics. I mean, making ladders is not really a hard problem. I mean, it's not really a huge task, but making ability for you to climb on those ladders, that's another story. Yeah, and that's why we're waiting for for some free resources within our team for someone to implement that climbing mechanics. But I do agree that it's important, and not only for ladders, like getting getting out of steep mountains, or I don't know, if getting out of pits, so on and so on, it will be used everywhere. And as I said, climbing should result in a lower profile, so maybe climbing will be also used to sneak towards somebody. So it will be like two purposes of climbing mode, climbing skill, or like ability.
Very nice.
One
Okay, good, Moyer.
Sure. One question people do keep asking, and I think you've answered it before, but I'll just throw it out there again. Do you plan on implementing horse archery?
No. Any more questions?
Thank you.
I mean, honestly, I don't really believe. I'm not a huge historian. How it's probably called. I'm not a historical scientist anyway. But as far as I know, in open field there were no real counters for horse archers, and well, most of Western European knights were just how we called. We're cursing about horse archers in open field because you are too heavy to chase it, and it still can hit you with its arrows, and it's quite painful. And well, they are using skirmishing tactics a lot, and since we already have lancers for that purpose, I don't think horse archers is any good. And if we will implement them, infantry will be even more upset. I mean, because in that way, like real Mongolian troops were using the tactics, they just started to galloping in a circle. They created a huge circle of like hundreds of horses galloping after each other, and they were just shooting arrows towards the enemy. And as soon as any enemy would approach, since they were already galloping, they could just run away. And there is no way how you can counter it except just have other shooters in your army. And well, we don't want to turn our melee type of combat in complete shooting, like everyone shooting each other. So that's on purpose we don't have horse archers.
I know I'm happy with that.
Well, some people ask about it.
They do.
Oh yeah,
Are
they
you-
do a lot.
Hmm?
I was saying, yeah, they do a lot.
No, yeah, what I'm against it really.
Yeah, I think most people are against it.
Thanks.
Are you planning to include a system of combat log, like Mortal Online or other game, like you have to wait
Well-
30 seconds?
We already have it in QA testing, and it's almost past the QA testing. Of course, it's needed, of course. And yeah,
Nice.
it's almost on the way. Will be maybe in next patch for sure.
I definitely look forward to testing that one out.
Well, everyone will have to test it. I mean, I'm quite sure there will be some rivers of tears when some combat loggers will actually see that for 30 seconds they were actually in game and not that alive as they expected to be. So, it's 10 p.m. Can I go, please?
Oh, I guess we can let you off the hook this time. Thank you, Bobik, so much for coming today and answering
Well-
all of our many questions. And I think, I want to thank all the people that were involved in getting this put together. I think even Sharon has some questions typed up that he'll go ahead and hand you. See if you can answer when you have free time.
Sure. I mean, so
Make you a list.
Again, our idea, our opinion is just to gather as many feedback of our players as possible, because it's maybe we should have done it way before, but now before MMO, before huge battles and all the stuff, we want to our combat and general game mechanics to be prepared for MMO in as much as as much as possible. So that's why we're getting as much as possible of feedback and bugs in order to fix it.
Yeah, I know we all love to hear some feedback on what you're thinking and what you're planning. Do you want to drop any big news as far as the MMO opening up tomorrow?
Sorry, no. It will take soon, soon.
Soon, yeah.
You can answer it by yourself,
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Oh, thank you guys.
Thank you, Bobik.
I'll be going. See ya.
Take care.
So, yeah. And thanks everyone who participated and worked to do all this interview, guys.